So we've talked a lot about how we concentrate urine, and now let's step back and try to get a little bit more of a broad understanding of what happens to the concentration of the fluid as it passes through the nephron. So the very first step of making urine is filtration, and the concentration of filtrate is the same as that of plasma, and that's because most of the important solutes in the blood are easily filtered at the glomerulus. But then what's the concentration of the solutes here at the end of the PCT? You might be tempted to think that it's actually less than the concentration of the filtrate here because as we go along the PCT, we're reabsorbing sodium. However, we mentioned that water follows sodium. So actually we lose sodium and water together. So we're losing the solute and the solvent together. And so actually the concentration does not change. So it's still 300 here. Now this process where your concentration does not change because you're reabsorbing both the solute and the solvent, we call osmotic reabsorption. And iso means same, so same osmolarity. Now what about the next step when we go down into the loop of Henle? Well, the whole purpose of the loop of Henle is to raise the concentration down here in the medulla. So as we go down the loop of Henle, our concentration is going to increase. And it'll reach a maximum down here of about 1200, and maybe it'll be about 600 over here. And actually the concentration increases here faster than it decreased here. So by the time you get up here to the DCT, you can have a concentration as low as 100. Now what's going to happen to the concentration in the rest of this path that the fluid takes? Well, hopefully you realize that you actually can't answer that question, and that's because the concentration here is going to depend very much on whether or not we have ADH. So let's talk about the situation in which we do have ADH. The purpose of ADH was to concentrate the urine, so then the fluid is going to get more concentrated as we go down. But something that's interesting is that ADH actually causes the concentration to rise along this whole length, starting in the DCT, down in the collecting duct in the cortical area, and then of course down in the medullary area. And that might seem weird to you because we said that we were raising the concentration here in the medulla in order to be able to concentrate the urine. But now I'm saying that we're able to start concentrating the urine up here, where the concentration is not high. So how is it that we're able to do that? Well, the reason is the concentration here is so low, it's in fact much lower than plasma, that even if the interstitium here had a concentration lower than plasma, let's say maybe 150 or even 200, that would be enough to draw water out of this super dilute fluid. So you can actually start concentrating the urine here. It's just that you could never get it to 1200 here alone. So the idea is here you pick low-hanging fruit, you concentrate to the extent that it's easy, and then as you go down you concentrate more and more and more and more. And so by the time you enter the medulla, maybe you have a concentration of 600 or so. So that now you really need something very concentrated to be able to draw out more water and to be able to get to the urine to its maximum concentration of 1200. And this is actually a great system, the fact that we start reabsorbing water up here. And the reason is if we reabsorbed all the water here in the medulla, then that would be a lot of water to add to the medulla and it would actually dilute the medulla. And we worked so hard to make the medulla concentrated. So it's actually an optimal situation to get the water that we can out of the fluid up here and then only use the medulla when we need to hyperconcentrate the urine.